going to shut these garage doors.
Okay.
And I'll leave this door open so you can get back in.
All right. What's going on, guys? It's Derek with Superbike Life, back with another video, and this is going to be a review and comparison 2018 Aprilia RSV4 RF that he just got. It has all of 10 miles on it. He put 9 of those on this morning. We're going to compare this, we're going to review this and compare it to my 2013 RSV4 RF factory. So enough talk, let's get out and ride. So my brother came back this morning after his quick ride on this bike, which still hasn't been broken in. He said it was phenomenal, that the bike was way better than him. Also, there is not much difference between the 2018 and the 2017 model. I'm sure you guys have heard of the Earlster. Awesome brother out of the UK. He has the 2017 model, which has the green on it. Exact same bike as this. And I believe he's still running an Austin Racing exhaust on his bike, and it sounds phenomenal. So if you want a ride review and other than this one, check it out. The Earlster is what he goes by. Now, there are a lot of differences between this bike and my 2013. A lot has happened in 5 years. The style has changed slightly. They've upgraded the brakes on this, bigger front rotors. The electronics package is far superior. They've added a Tft Display. The bike not only has a quick shifter, but it also has an auto blipper. The bike has Bluetooth integration and a USB port, so you can not only charge your phone and things of that nature, but it'll also send geometric data or GPS data to your phone that you can record, and you can later overlay it on this video. The bike has lean angle sensor, it has a brake pressure sensor, as well as throttle sensitivity, as you can see it going up there. This bike has every electronic wizardry known to mankind. ABS, traction control, launch control, wheelie control. I believe it has slide control, although I could be wrong. We already talked about Bluetooth integration and the wireless functionality, the USB. But let's talk about just the bike in general. A couple of things I noticed right away. The bike sits very high, and I think that's just a suspension setting. We could probably soften it up and lower the seat height a little bit, but I'm really on my tiptoes. But the bike is super smooth in typical Aprilia fashion. We're supposed to keep the revs under 6,500 RPM, so that's why you saw the light up right there. This bike feels super light on its feet. And believe it or not, other than looking at my elbows, the mirrors are pretty useful. They're actually, if I move my elbow, I can actually see out of those. There's not a whole lot of vibration, but then again, I'm only, traveling about 40 miles an hour. Man, this thing feels good. Now the question is, should you upgrade from your previous version RSV4? Well, I haven't been on the bike long enough to tell that. And that may not be a question I can answer on this ride. So you can adjust items on the fly, just like previous RSV4. So I have it set up for traction control, so I can adjust traction control on the fly by just hitting these thumb buttons. So there's a reverse one here and a plus one here, so I can go up, +3, +4, I can come down. Using this joystick, we can toggle through, so I got an ABS setting there. If I push it, I can then adjust ABS. Here's wheelie control. If I push it, it flashes, turns red, and now I can adjust it. Oh, green light. Sorry, can't adjust it right now. This bike will actually allow you chat communication with another passenger. So if you're riding two up, for example, and you both have Bluetooth headsets, it'll pair with the bike and you guys can chat to one another, which is really cool. This bike really does some of everything, honestly. Buttery smooth. Let's try the auto blipper. Upshifts are real smooth. Auto blipper's really nice. Throttle is very responsive. What you would expect of a Superbike of this caliber. Brembo brakes are really good. He's going to need to adjust the suspension again. The bike sits a little bit high right now, and the suspension is very stiff. But the ergonomics are very much similar to my bike. Man, that on-throttle upshift is to die for, good lord. And I definitely need a bike with an auto blipper. that is for sure. I need a bike with an auto blipper. So I'm doing a lot of shifting here because, again, the bike is still in its break-in period, and my brother wants to break it in according to the owner's manual or the manufacturer, which means we need to adjust RPMs. We don't want to drone along at 1 RPM or 1 gear for very long. So we want to constantly not, shifting every 5 seconds, but the last thing you want to do with your new bike is jump on the highway and drone along at 65 miles an hour in the same gear for 20-30 miles. You don't want to do that. So you want to vary the RPMs, vary the gears, so that everything breaks in really nicely. So we'll continue to do that. Yeah, this is a very nice bike. Once he adds an exhaust, this is going to be phenomenal. So we got a little turn here. Let's get the lean indicator. Look at that. We got the lean indicator working. We're not going to get to rip it here, again, because they want us to keep it under 6,500 RPMs for the first 600 miles. So I'll behave myself, although it's really hard. I love how the shift lights progressively increase as your RPMs increase. Then you get to that shift light right in the middle. You might not be able to see that, but okay, I think the truck is finally pulling off up here. The foot pegs are relatively low compared to other sport bikes, so you're not all jammed up like this kind of thing. So it's a really comfortable riding position. clicks into neutral really well. We're gonna put it in race. Let's see, what other modes? Track, sport, race. Let's put it in race. Not that they will get to use any of it. But see the degrees changing as I lean the bike? That is awesome. We got a pit lane limiter. This bike also has cruise control. Oh my God, really? I told my brother if I ever catch him using cruise control on this sport bike, I will call him out. Cruise control on a sport bike. Tits on a bull. If you want a Sport Tourer, buy a Sport Tourer. Do not buy a cutting-edge track weapon like this and put cruise control on it. Pit lane limiter, yeah. He says that he will never have a use for that. I believe it. He's probably not going to do a whole lot of track days. I would certainly have more use for it. But he's actually pretty excited about the cruise control. We tend to do a lot of long rides when he comes out to AZ to visit me. We'll typically ride to either Vegas or California because they certainly have better riding roads than we do in Phoenix. So we'll put somewhere between, I don't know, about 500 and about 1,200 miles on a particular ride. So cruise control can come in very handy there. But yeah, this is an awesome bike. I can't wait for him to bring it out in December, January time frame. Once he has the exhaust on it and the race ECU, and then we can really rip into this bike. But right now it's really good. I don't know if I'd upgrade to get this one just yet, even though I do love the TFT display and all the Wi-Fi capabilities, and the fact that I can pull this information off. So brake pressure, throttle position sensor, and your lean angle. I can pull those things right off the bike and overlay them onto my videos, which is really, really nice. The bike doesn't feel overly hot, although you do see it's at 210 degrees, which is kind of odd because it's not a particularly hot day. And we have been moving here. Okay, now it's starting to go down. But very comfortable bike, very familiar to my 2013. It's just better in every way. I love that they upgraded the triple tree here to black because you got all this other black going on. And it's the same on my bike. You got all this black going on, and then your triple tree is silver, and it kind of stands out. And I'm probably going to powder coat mine, but I do appreciate that they've upgraded this to black. They've even smoked the brake reservoir here, which is really cool. So it continues this black theme that you got. So everything is really nicely put together. The TFT display follows the lines. As you can see here, we got a little peak up and down. It follows the lines of the bike in here. And that's what the MV doesn't do. My F3 or the F4, really. The dash is sort of just plucked in there, and it doesn't follow the lines of the bike. And that's one of the things that I don't like about either of the MVs, although it's a minor item. But I do appreciate that Aprilia has taken the time to shape that dash, and also have given us a TFT display, which is really awesome. So actually I should have turned right there. It'll take me back, or would have taken me back to the house, but I'm going to keep riding this thing. That sounds fantastic for a stock bike. We're going to turn here. Hopefully the person behind me, thank you, doesn't run into me. Mr. Tub. Turns really easy. This is a very nice bike. Man. Okay, so that was just a couple of quick rips. We're using the auto blipper to downshift now. This auto blipper is awesome. I need one. So we'll pull over here somewhere and let you guys get a good look at the bike. Yeah, I don't feel any heat. Bike turns really, really well, handles very well, very sharp steering. Yeah, this is simply a better version of my bike. And I didn't think I was going to be able to answer this question, particularly on this ride, but I would upgrade, yes. If you asked me if I would upgrade from my 2013 to this bike, I would say yes. I didn't feel the same when I test rode the 2017 S1000RR against my 2011 track bike. Yes, it was faster and it did a bunch of other things, but I didn't feel like it was that much better than my bike. And that's probably because I've made a lot of upgrades to that bike. So that probably narrowed the gap a little bit. And also, I didn't get to jump on that bike. I didn't get to, rev it out at all. It was a scripted ride from BMW. So there was a leader that we had to follow, and there was someone behind us, so we couldn't lag behind. So I probably didn't give that bike its due justice, but I didn't feel like upgrading from my 2011 to that bike was justified. I thought my 2011 was really good. I still haven't been able to rip this out much at all, but I feel because of all of the upgrades, the electronic upgrades, the Tft display, the better brakes, the bike is lighter. Because of all of that, regardless of what it does once I twist the throttle and it's ripping at 12,000, 13,000 RPMs, I still feel like this is a better bike in every way, shape, or form. This bike handles way better than my bike. You can really feel the lightness of this bike compared to mine. Maybe not to other bikes, but certainly compared to my 2013.
I love the wheel color on this bike. It's sort of a matte, I don't know what kind of red that is, but reddish purple color, but it's really, really cool. This looks like simulated carbon fiber. I'm not convinced that it's real, but he's going to replace that, which is why we're not worried about those reflectors. So the Brembo Rotors here are slightly larger on this bike compared to my 2013. Still has the M50 monoblocks and the Öhlins front forks. We have some more simulated carbon fiber here, but one of the nice things they've added or upgraded this bike is the bike comes with engine case covers by default. A lot of tracks won't allow you onto the track without case covers, so it's nice that they've provided these on both sides, mind you, to cover the entire side of the engine. You have adjustable rear sets, or at least the toe piece is adjustable. Öhlins rear shock. We're going to get rid of that huge canister there, as well as this rear fender. And here are the other engine case covers, which is really nice, a really nice touch. I'm really happy that Aprilia did this, and I'm really looking forward to their 2019. So I mentioned this before. Again, if you follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my channel, Aprilia is coming out with a very new RSV4, and it's rumored that it could debut at this year's EICMA and be available as a 2019 model. And I called this because Ducati came out with their V4, and this particular platform on this Aprilia is now more than 10 years old. Even though this bike is freaking awesome, it is a 10-year-old platform, and I called this. The MV was going to have to, Aprilia was going to have to do something and change this bike to compete with Ducati's new V4. And Ducati's also going to be introducing their R spec version that will race in World Superbike this year. They're going to introduce that at EICMA this year. And Chaz Davis and Marco Melandri are going to get their hands on that thing next year. So Aprilia definitely had to do something with this bike. So these are upgrades. There'll be an all-new bike for 2019 or 2020 at the latest. So here's that left-hand switchgear. So you got your pit lane limiter, your cruise control adjustments, as well as wheelie control. You have this little toggle switch here that allows you to move around the dash. You have your high and low beams and flashers here. You have a Wi-Fi button over here, your horn, obviously your turn signals, and then your plus and minus adjustments there. There is your USB port. Just pull this back and you can plug in your phone or MP3 player or whatever it is you want. Your Öhlins steering damper. I would suspect that the next RSV4 will have electronically controlled Öhlins. Why? Well, because Ducati has them, MV has them, BMW has them. So I would expect Aprilia to follow suit. You change modes over here with the starter button. So after the bike is fired up and running, you push that button and it'll toggle through your modes. So it has sport, race, and track. You can turn all of your safety aids off, so you can turn off traction control, ABS, wheelie control. You can do all of that. This bike has launch control, which is very helpful if you're racing. You can put it in launch control mode, rev out the throttle, let off the clutch, and the bike won't, it'll just take off like a freaking scolded cat. So let's turn on the key. We'll bring up the awesome TFT display. So again, over here, by default, this is set to traction control. So by thumbing positive and negative here, these buttons, it'll automatically adjust the traction control, as you can see there, as we're going through. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 8, I believe. Yes, 8 is the highest traction control setting. We'll put this back to 3. And then we can use this sort of toggle here to move around these options, with the exception of the mode setting. We can't adjust that. Once again, you got to start the bike and then thumb this to change the mode. So I'm going to use this here and we're going to move around. So you can see we can change our trip, and it's green. So if I push this in, it changes it to B. Again, if I push this in, it changes it to A. So I'll do that again with the camera on it, B to A as I push it in. And now I can change things by moving this left and right. So right now I'm at average miles per hour, miles per gallon, fuel, odometer, trip, time, max miles per hour, and back to average miles per hour. So then I push it in, I go to B, and then I have all of that again on trip mode B. So I push it in again and I'm back to A. So now I can toggle down. You see it jump down to ABS 3, so I'll go back up. So I push this down this way, it jumps down to ABS 3. Now I can't change that right now, so what I have to do in order to change that is I have to push it in. So if I push this in, it changes that to red, and now I can use these thumb buttons here to change the ABS setting. So I can thumb the button, I can change to ABS 3, and then I can go all the way down to ABS 1. So I have 3 settings there. And then I'll push it in again to save the settings, and it changes back to green. So then I'm going to push this way to the right, and we'll go to Aprilia wheelie control, push the button down again, and then again we can use the thumb buttons to change wheelie control from 1 to 3, push it in to save the setting, push it over again to adjust launch control, and the same process, push it in. Now I can adjust launch control from settings 1 to 3. Push it in to save. Thumb down again, it'll bring me to menu, and I push it in again, and it'll bring up a menu. So I have all my APRC settings here. So I can push the button, I can go into ABS, traction control, wheelie control, launch control. I can enable the quick shifter for down, and I can exit, and I can go into configuration, and I can turn ABS completely off. There's a pit lane speed limiter. I can either turn it off or I can adjust its speed. And then I can exit. There's a calibration in here. I don't want to go into that. There's cruise control settings. And then this V4 MP pairing, that is all for pairing to your smart device, so like your mobile phone or what have you. And then we got a lap timer. We can adjust our shift light. Currently it's set at 6,500 RPMs. Again, we're still in braking mode. Then we have a configuration setting. Again, I don't want to go into there because I don't want to adjust anything. This is not my bike. And then we can exit and we're back to here. So yeah, that is it, guys. This bike is pretty damn awesome.
The turning on this bike is really effortless. On my bike, there's on initial turning, there's a little bit of hesitation where you have to sort of force it in, if that makes sense. There's a little resistance when you first tip in on the bike, and so it sort of hesitates to drop into the corner. But after that, once it's into the corner, my bike handles really well. This, there's no hesitation, there's no resistance. It just turns in. That could be because of my steering head angle, I'm not sure. I'll have to adjust that, and maybe that will remove that. But this is really, I would love to get this bike on a track. I'm not big on smackdowns, but I would love to do one with, once this is broken in, with this bike against my 2013, just to see how they compare. Man, buttery smooth. Buttery smooth. No vibrations transferred to the clip-ons or to your rear end. This is a fantastic street bike, and it's probably a better track weapon. But I must say, I am very impressed with this bike. It is a fine Italian weapon. That's probably even nicer on the track. And even nicer when you can open it up and let it rip a little bit. If I had to describe this bike in one word, it would be smooth. I love V4 engines. I absolutely love them. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll say it a million times. The V4 engine is the best engine for a sport bike, bar none. It revs high, low and mid-range torque. They sound phenomenal from the factory, and they only sound better when you add an aftermarket exhaust. No vibration, just awesome. Anyway, let's wrap up this review and comparison. I love the bike. You guys let me know what you think of it. I think it's better than my 2013 in every way. I would certainly upgrade, but I'm going to wait for the 2019 to see what it looks like, along with the 2019 S1000RR, and see what it looks like. I'm still debating the Norton. I'm still debating the Ducati V4R. A lot of awesome bikes coming out. So yeah, but I'm Derek. This is your Superbike Life. You guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, or smash it if you didn't like it. Until next time, guys, take care.